Hello, folks. This is Zach again with your Pennsylvania home inspector. Back at it again with video number 2. I wanted to go over a few things. I know my last video was more of an introductory hello type of video. So this is what I wanted to do in this video, is to go a little bit more in depth of what a home inspector does, what they're required to, and all that good stuff. So I wanted to just go over some basic stuff with you. It's going to be a longer video than the last one, so if you can keep the attention, that'd be great. If not, I understand. So today's topic is what is a home inspection? What does a home inspector do? What's the process and all that good stuff? This is kind of a general video of this sort of a thing, so that way you can get an idea. There's a lot more to it than this. I could go on for an hour and still, have stuff to talk about. So we'll just take it. We'll just do the this video real quick, and so that way you have a good idea. So let's start off with what a home inspection is. For those who don't know, who are not in the business, basically what a home inspection is, it's not like a building inspector where you go walk around and say, nope, that fails, no, this passes, that sort of a thing. A home inspection is more of a safety deficiency type of thing. We don't always play by the rules, and when I say play by the rules, I mean by the code book. Sometimes we suggest things that are not not in the code book, and sometimes we suggest things that may be above and beyond what the code says. It's nice to have that kind of freedom to really care for people. A home inspection is like when you take your car to the garage mechanic, like when you're buying a used car and someone's selling it to you at a private sale, and you take it to the mechanic first, and then you go, how's this car look? And the mechanic says, yeah, no, this car is great. No, or no, it's not worth $10,000. You gotta you should definitely get some money off of it, or have them, whatever. That's basically what a home inspection is, except for obviously a house. We look at everything throughout the house. We're talking anywhere from like the exterior stuff, like how your dirt is coming up to the house, if it's graded properly, up to the exterior portion of the house, the siding, the roofing, that sort of a thing. And we also look at the roof, like I said, the chimney. We look at the exterior doors, the exterior portion of the windows. Then we go inside and we look from basically the basement / crawl space, depending on which one you have, or if you have both. If you go from there all the way up, look at the utilities, like the water heater, the heating unit, the air conditioning unit, the electrical panel, that kind of a thing. And then we go up to the attic, and if we can get into the attic, we'll definitely take a look, walk around, crawl around, whatever we can do safely, we'll do that. That's what we look at, and we compile reports that are usually anywhere from like 30 pages on up. My average report length is like 40 some pages long. I'll give you a little secret, and this is something that the realtors would like to hear. The reason why most of our reports are 40 some odd pages long, I'll give you the answer. It's our software. Okay, the software that I purchased was a significant amount of money. I think it was around $700 for me to buy, and I bought it outright. And the report software basically takes the little bit of information and formats it, puts the pictures in perspective, sizes it appropriately, and it formats it with borders and page numbers and the way it flows. The software does all the stuff that you see there. That's what it is. I did my first home inspection report out of Microsoft Word, and it was 10 pages max, and it was a townhouse that was like a 1,400 square foot townhouse. 10 pages max, and that was with pictures. Okay, so the reason why our reports are so long is because of the software that it does. It basically brings it to life like that. So anyway, why should you have one done? Should I go along? Why should I have one done? Is it really that necessary? I mean, do I even need to be there? Yes. Yes, 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 and yes. Have it done. Absolutely. And definitely go along. Absolutely, absolutely go along. We try to be as accommodating as possible, but at the same time, go along. Go with the home inspector. Be there, so that way when he sees a deficiency in the ceiling, in the walls, in the plumbing, you can see it right then and there. You can almost put your hand on it if it's safe. It is. I mean, not saying that our reports are not good enough, but it is so much better being there in person. Okay. I know a lot of people say that, for example, walking on the roof is a valuable thing. It's like the same concept. You want to be there so that way I can show you in person. There's like 100 times less questions when you're there with the inspector, and it's a great thing to have. I mean, it's worth 100 times taking a half days off from work. Okay. Um, but absolutely get one done. And my suggestion is hiring your own inspector. Okay. That's one of the suggestions I have. I understand there's certain deals out there that if the seller hires the inspector, if you're buying a house or what have you, then that's up to you, whatever you want to do. However, I usually recommend, I'm always cheering on for, if you're a buyer in this market, to hire your own inspector, so that way you're good to go. Um, so that being said, it's definitely worth. I mean, you're going to spend however much money you're going to spend on a house, 75,000, 125, 300,000, 400 billion, however much money you're going to spend on a house. It's going to be probably the single most expensive thing in your life that you're going to spend on. There might be something here or there, but that's pretty much, if not the most expensive thing you're going to purchase in your life. So it's worth to take the day off or half a day off. Um, so that's that part. Um, so the question is who orders the inspection? What's the cost? Who pays when, and all that good stuff. All right. So who orders the inspection? Okay. Um, if you're buying a house, you're ultimately going to be the one that pulls the trigger with the home inspection. Okay. You're going to be the one that's going to give the okay. Now your realtor, is going to probably have a list of inspectors they've worked with in the past. That's cool. That's awesome. A lot of home inspectors want to get in this real estate agent's cell phone, so that way it's doing a great job that impresses a realtor is free marketing. So that way I can have a realtor that'll call me up and say, hey, we need another home inspection. That's great. But at the same time, you can take a look at that list and interview them. It helps you do that. But at the same time, you are also free to look for your own home inspection as well. Either way, there's no really significant advantage to either or. They both have, their pluses. And if you have a great realtor, like I know a few great realtors out there, they probably have some awesome home inspectors, and that's great. But ultimately, what you should do is, if you do get a list or a couple of people from your realtor, interview them anyway. Because of the fact, and we'll go over the interview process here in a second, but ultimately speaking, they may be good at home inspectors, but they might not jive with you. They might not click with you. They might, a good person and a good professional may not always connect well together. It's not necessarily one person's bad. It's just sometimes two goods don't always come together perfectly fine. So that's something to think about. But interview your home inspector. If you have a great realtor, trust them and help them out. Or help yourself with whatever experiences they had in the past. So. What is the cost of a home inspection? Okay, so the home inspection costs can vary depending on your market, where you're at. Philadelphia market may be a little bit different than, say, Harrisburg's market, which may be different from, say, Ohio's market, which may be different from Florida's market, which is different from California's market, which is different from Canada's market. It varies from price to price. I've seen prices go all over the place. I found out that my prices are pretty competitive with uh, my the other inspectors around here. Um, if you're listening to this and you're in the southern end of Pennsylvania, you're probably looking at anywhere from $300 on up. Uh, maybe if you have a mobile home and it's maybe a condo, um, or a very very small place, it might be a little bit cheaper, but you're probably going to expect $300 on up, and usually it's based off of square footage. The home inspector himself will set the price, but a lot of times it's based off of the square footage of the house. Sometimes they base it off of how many bedrooms and bathrooms there are. Um, that sort of a thing. But usually you're looking at $300 on up, and usually they don't include termite and radon. Those are add-on services, including like thermo imaging as well, like water testing, that kind of stuff. Your the $300 on up is usually the start price for just the home inspection. Um, so the when do you usually get in a home inspection? Figure out who you want to go with sooner than later. Don't wait until you sign papers and make offers and put deposits down for the interview process. Interview your home inspector before you do all that kind of stuff, because that will take up some time, because sometimes it takes, you know, you may only have 10, 15 days to do what you think, and you think that, oh, it's 2 weeks. Okay, that's great. Um, so the you may have that much time, but at the same time it takes some time, because the home inspector isn't always sitting at home waiting for your call. He might be out doing a home inspection. He may be out going to pick up other radon kits. He may have a somewhat of a busy schedule, especially in the springtime, where it gets really, where the housing market really kind of spikes. So you're going to have to schedule that for that to happen. Okay. Not only that, but it takes about 24 to 36 hours for you to get your report back. So there's a lot of time, there's a lot of factors in between everything. So my best bet is, before you sign any paperwork, when you're house hunting, find out who your inspector is. Interview them, find the one that you like, and, go from there. And then when you officially sign the papers and you are ready to do the inspection process, give him a call and say, hey, let's get this going. Update him. Hey, I'll be signing the papers on Friday. What's your availability like next week? And kind of keep him along with that. A good home inspector will be more than happy to hear the status of everything. I usually am. I'm very excited when I hear that you're progressing to reach your dreams. So the sooner you can get the home inspector in that process, the better off. Because here's a few factors. Number one, you may not understand the home inspection report 100%. Okay, and that happens with a lot. Doesn't mean that the home inspector was a bad inspector. Doesn't mean that the report was written poorly. It's just that you may not understand what the report what it has to say. He or she may have to clarify a few things, that sort of thing. Another thing that may happen is that a home inspector may write in the report, refer to a specialist or refer to a licensed contractor. So if you wanted to get a price quote on, say, if the home inspector doesn't do cost of repairs, and you have a pretty knocked up roof, if you will, a pretty beat up roof, you may have to call a roofer out to see what the cost of repairs are. That's going to take some time, because they're not sitting at home waiting for your phone call. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into this sort of a thing. So just get the process starting as early as possible, so that way it's a lot easier to deal with. Your realtor will have a little bit less of a headache to deal with that kind of stuff, instead of waiting till the last day or the last minute and whatnot. Just get it. Try to shoot for it as early as possible. So the process is you find a home inspector that you like, either through your realtor or through Google, through your reviews and whatnot. What you do is you call them up. They'll basically set up their own appointments and whatnot, and their appointment process. They might have you sign like an online agreement. That's not an uncommon thing. Just like a home contractor will have you sign a contract. You sign a contract with your inspector, and basically it's just puts everybody's expectations down on writing. And the home inspector will come out, do the inspection. They will show you what is all is going on, and then within 24 to 36 hours, you'll get a PDF file, an online digital file, not an online file, but it's like a digital file through your email, and you'll be able to read the report. Some inspectors will do it a lot sooner. Some inspectors may wait up to 48 hours, depending on how busy we are. But I usually like to do mine within 24 to 36 hours. So how do you know if your inspector is qualified? Insurances, we have insurances. Okay, errors and omissions insurance up here in PA, and liability insurance. I believe Maryland requires liability insurance. I'm not too sure what Delaware requires, but I carry errors and omissions insurance and liability insurance just in case. That way, if there's less restrictions, I don't have to worry about it. So you have those two different inspections or insurances. A home inspector will be a part of a nationally accredited organization like ASHI or INTERNACHI or what have you. That way they can communicate with other home inspectors. They can take continual education courses. We have to have at least 24 hours. Mine, I double that every year. So I think I take at least 40 hours of continual education because I like to learn. And then go from there. So, you can ask that kind of question: Are you qualified as a home inspector? How soon can you get the report out to me? How long are your reports? Usually, like I mentioned maybe before, inspection reports usually are about 30 plus pages, give or take, depending on how many deficiencies and how big the house is. And then do you include pictures? Of course, I do. All mine is digital. And what other services do you provide? You can ask your inspector. Termite, I can provide radon testing. It's a 48-hour test to test the basically the gases that come up through the earth. Another video later, I'll go ahead and explain it even more. And then it takes 48 hours to test, and then a 12-hour period afterwards, if not shorter, you'll get the results. I can get the results. I have a machine that does that. And you'll get the report, under 12 hours from there. So pretty much 2.5 days max after the inspection day, you'll get the results with your radon. And I'll have a video about radon here later and why it's important, what it is, and all that good stuff. Yeah, that's pretty much what a home inspector does. He works on. He doesn't really. He refers to code every once in a while. He or she will refer to code every once in a while. He doesn't really do. He's not a code enforcer. He's not a designer. So if like the wall paint doesn't match the carpets, we don't really comment on color. Only deficiencies. That's typically what we do. Then you can pretty much, once that happens, you'll get the report through your email. And then you can pretty much talk to your real estate agent, and they'll go over the report with you, and you can possibly get a credit, maybe some money off the mortgage. The seller can possibly go for the repairs. I usually try to highlight a couple of things that I would see. For example, if there's maybe a page full of deficiencies, the small little stuff that I don't really worry about too much, but still needs to be brought up, I will kind of say, hey, yeah, that's important too. But I'll highlight a couple of the big things. Hey, ask for that roof leak to get fixed, and have them, take care of this over here, whatever, and and then that way you can kind of understand. I emphasize there's a good bit of stuff which you'll always get, that is what I call the honey to-do list, or the spring cleanup list. Patching holes or fixing that one outlet. The small little stuff I usually recommend. Picking your own battles, that kind of a thing, because you're not going to be able to get everything out of a negotiation. You might be able to get a lot, but it's more about the quality. It's more about the, how do you want to say? It's more about the most important stuff in the negotiation process with the seller, rather than trying to get everything out of it. you're not going to get everything. That's a lot to deal with, and that's a lot to put on the seller. And the nice thing is you have that report to kind of give you a guideline to fix in the future. So, all right, well, I talked for over 20 minutes now. I tend to do that a lot. So if you watch this video all the way through, awesome. If not, it's cool. So I will talk about more stuff in the future. I got cool ideas of what I want to do in the future. I have some other possibilities. If you've got stuff that you want to learn about, whether you're a real estate agent, an insurance salesman, if you whatever it may be, whatever you do, you're a Joe Schmo homeowner. Whatever it is whatever it is that you do, doesn't matter. You don't have to be an inspector. You don't have to be a real estate agent. You don't have to be anything particular. If you want to learn about stuff, comment below. Like, subscribe, and all that happy stuff. Give me some suggestions what you want to learn. If you're like, hey, I want to learn about maintenance on a water heater, or if I want to learn about maybe do a half an hour walkthrough of a home inspection. Even though home inspections don't last that short, just a brief walkthrough. How do you do this? How do you do that? I used to be a contractor, so the nice thing is I'm going to give you a little bit of a little taste in the future. I have a I have a project that I'm working on. It's a little tiny little, I think it's like 1,500 square foot of a single floor place. It's a double wide trailer that I'm flipping. So I'm going to probably post some videos about that stuff. And we'll just take it from there. So that way, not only can I tell you about stuff in a video, but I can actually get my hands dirty and that kind of stuff. I used to be a contractor, so I know a lot about this kind of stuff. So anyway, if you want to learn stuff, if you want to hear about stuff, if you want me to address some stuff, whatever it is that you're curious about, let me know. Comment below, give me a text. I love texting. I love messaging. I don't mind phone calls, they're fine too. Comment below. Give me a call, 717-475-8473. Give me a text. I text until like 9 o'clock at night, and then, as early as 7 o'clock in the morning. Throw me some suggestions, what you want to learn, and I'll see what I can do. All right. Well, thank you for listening. As always, stay safe.